Back to my crappy camera. Okay, so I got everything figured out today and I got my cords for my camera, only to find out that my HDMI port on my new camera is broken. But lucky for me, I have a camcorder, except the battery's dead. So right now I'm charging my battery and we're gonna use this crappy camera that I'm using right now. So welcome to my channel. Sorry for the technical issues the last few days. We are working through them. All right, so it's been a wild few days. Let's just say there's been a lot of stuff going on. We have covered a lot of different topics. I did 2 videos today where we did the Duggars and an update on the Gosselin drama. So if you haven't checked those out, make sure you do when this video is done. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe and make sure that you give this video a thumbs up on the way out. I don't know if there is some issues here with our I don't know where everyone is. All right. So let's talk. I don't know where everyone is. This is weird. Okay, anyways. Notifications must be messy. David Eason is back at it. So Janelle Evans has been very, very weird lately. She has been on this tirade fighting with everyone because she is needing clout. And she has been spending the better part of her life the last few months basically picking fights with anyone with a platform in order to get her name out there. Yes, this is what she does for a living because she has no career anymore. And she's been releasing a, 6-part docu-series where she is YouTube glitching again? I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. Clearly the numbers are not good for this stream. So I don't know if people aren't getting notified. I'm not sure. Anyways, if there are glitches that come up during this live stream, please know I cannot control them, and letting us know in the chat will not help us be able to control what happens with glitching, because any glitching that's been happening on YouTube live streams has absolutely nothing to do with the channels. It's everything to do with YouTube, and you'll just have to be patient or watch the replay. I apologize for that. I can't control it, unfortunately. So back to David Eason. So David Eason ate his pet goat, in fact. His goat was being eaten last night, and he looked like he was 3 sheets to the wind, and he shared some photos on Instagram along with a video, which is kind of disturbing in a way, seriously, in a huge way. I don't, all right, so anyways, let's get going to what David did, because David is a disturbing man. I don't know what is going on with him. Let's show you what he's got going on. I don't know what's going on with notifications here. This is an utter mess.
If y'all ever wondered what a goat tastes like off the grill, well, I'm here to tell you. Tastes like chicken. Texture like beef or pork. But it's real good. This is a ham. This is butt. This is Elvis, too. The little baby we had last year. Sorry I'm talking with my mouth full, but that's what this video is all about. It's fucking delicious. People should eat more goat. It's yum. And if you don't think that was really a goat on the grill, well, it was. His name was Elvis. Yes.
All right, yep, that's the goat's head. So what is David doing? Why is he naming a goat Elvis and then laughing about how the goat's head is literally in the waste bucket, and he thinks it's funny, and he has to like go on live on Instagram to show everyone what he's doing? I was trying to figure out here what, I don't even know, like, how you even describe this. Is this, first off, it's legal apparently, although the disposing of it is not. So I spent the better part of last night trying to figure out if he broke any laws. And it appears as though as long as he has a farm, he can get rid of the animal and put it, he can basically prepare it to eat as long as he's feeding his own family. Although most people and most farmers will never do that on their own land. They will send it off to be processed and have it done correctly to avoid any bacteria and any other issues, and then having issues with the disposal. But disposal is a really big issue because if you throw it in the garbage, there are predators and you are supposed to like bury it, but you have requirements for where you can bury it. And then there's just these questions on whether or not he was raising this as a pet or as livestock. And if he was raising it and had it as a pet, then he can't actually get rid of it. It's illegal. But if he is raising it as livestock, he can. So it kind of falls in this weird gray area. But what I find the most disturbing here is that it's another animal. It's like he wants to taunt people. Like, oh, look, Nugget's gone. Now we can get rid of this goat, right? Like, Nugget didn't matter. I got away with Nugget. So now I'm going to get rid of this goat. And was he drunk? He looked like he was either drunk or on pills. But David Eason is a freaking mess. Okay. So now on to the next thing is that we have some lawsuits going on. So Janelle Evans is getting sued. Yes, Janelle and David are getting sued for stuff that they did last spring. So check this out. A year ago, David and Janelle got into a fight with Olivia, and they post some photos which really upset her because they are very they're not the kind of things that you should be doing. You shouldn't be posting these photos. And she says that they basically caused her to, get a lot of troubles. They posted some photos that David took, let's just say, when they were still a couple, and only David would have had possession of them, and Olivia did not consent. At least that's what the lawsuit says. Because during the GoFundMe, people started posting photos of Olivia that were not with clothes on, and this is kind of where they're at. And then Janelle was leaving all kinds of nasty reviews for her, which caused her to lose her job. And she is currently on Instagram entering some sort of Maxim contest, and it looks like she's trying to, I don't even know, become the Maxim person. And she also got some new friends on the top of her chest. So people are like now questioning her and whether or not she actually used the GoFundMe money to get a new set as she enters this new contest. But it's hard to know. It's really hard to know because she claims the money is in a fund for her son, for a lawsuit, or for the custody thing. But the thing that I never understood about this is what David and Janelle did, if they did this, is horrific. Like, you should never be posting those kinds of photos to get back at somebody. But the question here is, why is she asking for money for a legal case that doesn't have money due? Because she said that the money was provided to the attorney, who then is hanging on to it in the event that they have court. Wouldn't you theoretically ask for the money when you need it and not just have like a GoFundMe and then just have the money holding on to it? Generally, when you have a GoFundMe, it's for urgent needs or current needs, right? So I'm a little bit confused here with that one. So they are set to go into court. Janelle tried to get this lawsuit dismissed, but she's asking for $150 $150,000. Yeah, she asked for the retainer to sue them for $125,000, basically. Like, why is she... I don't get this. Anyways, is she using that lawsuit for... Is she using that money for the retainer for this lawsuit? I don't know. So they're going to be in court tomorrow virtually to talk this all out. Janelle and David are absolute and utter trash, and that's all I have for this. Okay, so next up, David is a monster and eats his animals, and some people are like, Katie, you're just reaching with that. And I'm like, dude, he killed his dog. It matters. And he's like literally getting online and he's like, haha, you guys can't stop me. I'm going to eat my pet goat now. Gross, David. It's so gross. Okay, now on to Paris Hilton. Did you have a chance to check out This Is Paris on Netflix or on YouTube? It's trending. It's like number 10 on trending. And I'm actually kind of shocked because it doesn't have as many views as I thought it would. It's just under 1 million views. As of right now, it actually premiered last night around midnight. And it goes into the world of Paris Hilton. Now, if you remember, Paris Hilton was the biggest thing since sliced bread. She became the sort of blueprint for how to become an influencer and how to become famous for doing nothing. She made Kim Kardashian's entire existence relevant. Now, Paris has decided that she's going to make this documentary. And the documentary was actually really fascinating because it took you into a side of Paris that nobody has ever seen before. You see the Paris that has a normal voice, that isn't saying that's hot all the time or loves it. She has a lot of brains. She's super intelligent. And she's also very, very traumatized. I was pretty shocked by how stuck she is in this character that she created back when she was in her early 20s, when she was on The Simple Life, and she made her brand off of this character. But this character was a product of her time in this school called Provo Canyon School. So they talked a lot about how when Paris was little, she was a super big tomboy and she wasn't into glitz and glam. It was always her little sister that was into that, Nikki. And she was kind of a troublemaker. She wanted to go out and party, and her parents just were super conservative and they didn't know what to do with her. And she grew up Catholic and went to Catholic school. And she learned, like a good Catholic, to stuff down her feelings and not talk about anything. Yay, Catholics. I can say that because I grew up Catholic. So she says that her parents are super conservative. They had a lot of rules. They didn't want her to do pretty much anything. And so she kind of like thumbed her nose at that. And in an effort to tone her down, they sent her away to all these different like behavioral places to modify her behavior, which is sort of the troubled teen industry. And she ran away from like four of the places. And the last stop was at one in Utah called Provo Canyon School, which has gates all around it and she could not escape from. Now, at this school, it sounds horrific because she is thrown into isolation without any clothes on. She sits there for up to 20 hours a day, completely and utterly like on a concrete floor because she wouldn't take the medication she was on. She talked about how they were very violent with her and with other kids at the school for doing a number of different things. She talked about wanting to run away and getting thrown into isolation for that. She talked about how she never talked about it and she's sort of been running away from it her whole life, to the point that when she got out, she ended up in all of these really, really, really volatile relationships. And this was the first time she actually addressed those bruises. Now, if you remember back in the early 2000s, she was dating Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys. And there was some photos of her with bruising on her arms and on a black eye, like a big fat lip. She basically admitted that Nick did that to her without saying his name. So she said that he got angry that she wanted to leave his house and he was shaking her and pulling on her. And she said, the sad thing here, you guys, is she said it was not even the worst thing that's ever happened to her. She said that she had been strangled before. So Auntie Kyle was actually in the documentary, which was pretty neat. Her mom was in it, her sister, and her her current boyfriend wasn't a part of this because he wasn't actually dating her at that time. But yeah, overall it was pretty, you don't remember. So Paris Hilton actually dated Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys, and he beat her up, basically. And she never talked about it publicly, and he always denied that he had done that. So that part of it really impressed me, because Nick Carter has always wanted to put out this like idea that he is this like super good kid, but turns out he's a complete and utter douchebag. And I really am surprised more people are not calling him out today. Anyways, I was like totally shocked with that aspect. But the fact that she talked about getting strangled, and then another humongous aspect of the story is talking about the tape that made her famous, that her boyfriend put out without her consent. And they really talked about the trauma she went through having gone through that. And people actually thought that she had done this on purpose, and she did not. And that kind of led her into a spiral. But the stuff at Provo is really what led her to all of these things, she said. Because she felt like when she needed someone the most, she had no one there. She said it led to her no longer trusting her parents, no longer having an idea about having any trust in anyone else, having no ability to understand proper boundaries with relationships, and walking into violent relationship after violent relationship. And in fact, she said that she had 5 boyfriends that have been violent with her, which is so scary. So, you don't know the Backstreet Boys? Backstreet's back, all right. Okay, anyways, they were a big thing with NSYNC. Okay, so anyways, at the very end of this, she actually gets back together with some of the girls that she was in the school with, and they talk about, how much trauma they went through at the school. And the really neat thing in all of this is that her friend that she went to school with actually has a organization now where they are exposing the troubled teen industry, and they are trying to pass laws to close these down. And Paris is the first celebrity to come out as someone that went to one of these schools. No one else from the celeb world has come out to say that they did this. And she's hoping by coming out herself, it will encourage other people to speak out and share their stories. But it sounds like these schools need to go. We've talked about that quite a bit. And something actually kind of neat in all of this is that I had the opportunity to speak to one of the women that was in this documentary. One of the women that was featured, of the friends that she had at this facility, reached out to me about a month ago before the show went on the air to let me know she was going to be on the show. She was a long-time subscriber of mine, and she provided me a lot of insight about what they went through when they were there. And interestingly, she told me that Paris is literally one of the nicest people in the whole world, has such a kind heart, and is not at all what you would think she's like. She's not the image at all she portrays, which I was like, that's kind of shocking. But I was pretty interested. It was interesting to see her cry. It was interesting to see her like not at all, really show like that. She showed a very vulnerable side. And I think the video, this more than anything, is going to open up a really good dialogue about the nature of these horrific things the kids go through at these schools. So I was kind of proud of her for one, talking about the relationship she's gone through, how this is going. I really feel like this can be a path for healing for a lot of people, and I do hope other celebrities come out and speak it. And I would definitely, if you guys have any interest in either Paris or who she is behind that mask, it's definitely worth a watch. It's an hour and 45 minutes. If you have YouTube Premium, you can get 10 minutes of stuff that's not seen in the original, and it's amazing because she has amassed so much wealth on her own. And she said the reason why she has been working so hard is because she doesn't ever want to have to ever be able to depend on her parents because of what her parents did to her by putting her in that school. And so she wants to make $1 billion, and she won't stop working until she does, she said. It's unbelievable. She has such a incredible platform to do this, and it's a pretty awesome show. And Sarah said she did such a beautiful job. She was so vulnerable, and I just have so much respect for her. I definitely did too. I felt like this was the first time I actually saw her, and I felt empathy for her. I felt a lot of heartache for her. I felt like she has been working her butt off to run away from everything. And part of me felt like if she would have had the right counseling when she was a kid, she wouldn't be there. You know what I mean? Instead, her parents sent her to this place. They had no idea. Kathy actually found out while they were while they were filming, Kathy finds out what her daughter goes through. And it's interesting because her sister Nikki is like pushing Paris to be more open, to be more, to deal with the trauma, to deal with what she's gone through. And it's amazing that she just sort of put her blinders on, didn't want to look backwards, and she ran away from her pain and her trauma. And it's just sort of a testament that unless you start working through that and you get through it, no amount of wealth or fame is going to help you feel good about who you are on the inside. So I really, really hope that this will lead to a path of healing for her. Yeah, it was interesting to see. I don't know if her mom didn't say sorry. We don't know. They didn't show that. But we have no idea if her mom didn't say sorry. We didn't hear an apology from her mom. Her mom actually reminded me a lot of just my mom. That's sort of how her mom didn't really know how to handle it. I actually had a lot of empathy because I felt like my relationship with my mom was a lot like Paris with her mom, just sort of like detached in a way, but just generational in a way. Anyways, so I had no idea that her mom had her when she was 19 years old. Okay, so now let's get on to some updates on the Stand for Sophie story, because this one has been going way in so many different directions. I don't really understand what's been happening. It's been a wild few days since I came out and did a live stream and talked about everything. But a lot more is happening. A lot more people are starting to speak out. A lot more people are starting to see inconsistencies. A lot more information is being revealed. Interestingly, I got a random message from somebody who is friends with the Mr. Jake, but they sort of disappeared after they told me, but they were connected to him. There has been people from Kelly's, the mother's side, that are starting to speak out a little bit more and share, but they're so afraid to speak because there has been such considerable doxing. And it's really scary because when people are speaking out, this is what happens. So Courtney is his girlfriend. And the interesting thing I'm noting here is that Michael seems to find everyone else to do his dirty work. Now, someone that knows the family, they told me this yesterday. They said that Michael and Courtney had been planning this since June, and they had maybe been working with whiteboards to the point of helping the kids learn their lines. And Courtney is an actress. She actually has an actress page. So she has background in acting and in modeling. And interestingly, somebody from their hometown told me that Sophie also, or the little girl, I'm not going to use her name, apologize, also has a background in acting. And so the person I spoke to said they have been planning this since June with whiteboards to get the kids to memorize what they were going to say. So, anyways, this is what they do when people are speaking out. So instead of actually tackling the questions and answering the questions, which they're not doing, instead, they are now trying to get people to call me a PEDO, which I absolutely am not. They are throwing up old videos of me that are taken out of context. They're finding old tweets that have nothing to do with this situation and are again, out of context, and again, have nothing to do with this situation. And lawsuits, which I am not a part of, on my obsessive behavior of texting unrelated minors. I've never actually texted an unrelated minor. I don't even know where that comes from. So texting unrelated minors, who do I text, Courtney? That's so cute. But this is what's happening to everyone. Now, so I'm starting to get all kinds of messages of people accusing me of being a PEDO. And I have never texted an underage minor, but well, whatever. That's just weird. Okay. So she wants instead of like handling the questions, they want everyone to think that I am also like Mr. Jake. So I feel like I'm the 7th person now that Michael has falsely accused, and he's accusing other people as well. So it's not just happening to me. I'm not showing you this so you say boo-hoo. I'm just showing that like this is how they're handling the criticism. And they're kicking anyone out that asks them any questions. So another thing that I wanted to bring up was that I went and got somebody who, Brandon, thank you for reaching out to me to give this to me. I don't know why they would say I texted a minor. I've never texted minors. And any of my moderators know that I don't like have conversations with my subscribers, and my subscribers are mostly adults. So I don't have a young base here. My average subscriber is, I think, 18 to 36. I don't have a large base that's under 18. Less than 1% of my total subscribers are under 18. So I don't communicate with them. And I don't have phone numbers of my subscribers either. So this is interesting, though, because one of the key points that came out was some criticism about Michael posting a private conversation with the amicus attorney. And there's some false information that's going around that, he had the right to post this, but he actually didn't. So apparently these attorneys are interviewing children in a private setting. They are not there for the parent. They are there for the child, and they are there to make recommendations for the courts as an advocate. You can kind of think of them in a way as a guardian ad litem, that they have the best interests of the child in mind. And so they work with the kids, and they have private conversations with the kids where the kids are not with their parents. And these are private, confidential communications between the attorney ad litem and the child or individual with whom the child ordinarily resides with. Now, I was told again that she was not in an interview with anyone but this person. And it says, and this is actually from the legal pages of Texas law, it says, the disclosure of confidential record under this section does not affect the confidentiality of the record. The person provided access to the record may not disclose the record further except to be provided by court order or other law. So the fact that he got his hands on this, we don't know how. And then the fact that he disclosed it is against the law because he is only supposed to be, it's only used in the courts. So publishing this on a YouTube channel is against Texas law in terms of the civil courts. And it says that it's only used for the law. And then there's this other part where it says, an amicus attorney may not disclose confidential communications between the attorney and the child. So they are not allowed to even tell, like, if the parent's not there, they can't disclose anything unless the attorney determines that the disclosure is necessary to assist the court regarding the best interests of the child. So not only are they not supposed to share it, they can't disclose anything unless they think it's necessary to disclose to the courts. So this interview, if it's real, should not be up, period. It's a violation of this child's privacy, and it's against civil codes in the state of Texas. Now, if they haven't raised enough money between their over $200,000 for their GoFundMe and their Venmo and PayPal cash that they've received, which people are estimating they might have received hundreds of thousands of dollars via PayPal because they kept saying their GoFundMe was frozen. But I really am starting to question if it was frozen because typically when an account is frozen and they're holding the money, you're not allowed to still donate because GoFundMe is determining whether or not it's actually a legitimate fundraiser. So it's unclear whether or not it was ever frozen because it never made it so that you couldn't donate. So, and the other interesting thing is none of these things are in Michael's name. They're all in his girlfriend's name, Courtney, who, by the way, I can't find any record of these two having a marriage. So they say they're married, but I couldn't find any record of these two having a legal marriage. They could be common law, although I don't know. But if they haven't done enough, now they're doing more fundraisers and they're posting them on their page. And the thing is that people are broke right now because of the pandemic, and people are wanting to give their last dollars to this family, their last dollars to a family that's already been given $200,000 of a $25,000 goal, and they still haven't turned off donations. And today, in order to amplify interest into the case, he released more videos of his son Jack and the hair follicle test, which was again an oddly recorded call between Courtney and the lab, who didn't even know that the hair belonged to a minor. I can't. Okay. Now, people are starting to speak out on his page, and they're getting booted as fast as they are posting these things. But this is what's the general consensus of those people that are leaving the community and are calling him out. I've watched you be the benefactor and recipient of grace and generosity and good people in a time within our country of turmoil. Many people don't have jobs and presently, yet your bank account has grown exponentially. I'm sure this makes you smile, does it not? Sure it does. However, behind that smile of your creeps, the foul reality of what you've started, allowed, and groomed and grown, you have. You really started your supporters. You stated your daughter was essentially gang RAPE'd while she was under police protection. Now, the Frisco Police Department, another YouTuber named Critical K reached out to the Frisco Police Department regarding this allegation about any sort of RAPE, and they said absolutely unequivocally no, were their officers involved in anything that would have resulted in something like this, and there was no investigation regarding this. So again, this claim seems to be baseless, and this comes from Critical K. You can check her out on that's from her, I think, her group on Facebook. But they say that that didn't happen, okay? So he said, you've managed to destroy the lives of people. Hell, even the people where Jake worked, they've lost their businesses. So Jake doesn't even work for this company, and the company had to shut down because of all of the harassment they received, and he hadn't worked there in quite some time. He says that they had to make a public plea for people to assist. Their business was destroyed, and you had a private net. Members of your main group send private messages to other members telling them that they hope the others members' children will get SA'd, which is, these are the messages I've received, is I hope your child gets SA'd. They send private messages telling them, to watch their doors, and it's like the lengths that they're going to is ridiculous. This is a GoFundMe, you guys, for a little girl that what? Why are people going to this level? This is ridiculous. And it's happening to anyone, not just me. It's happening to people that are even in these groups that are private citizens, that have nothing to do with this, that aren't public figures, that are getting everything put out by them. Now, another thing I wanted to bring up was ethical reporting, because we've seemed to lose the sight of what ethical reporting is about children. And so what I did is I went to UNICEF, because they are one of the leading organizations for international stopping the exploitation of children and human trafficking. And they say respect the dignity and rights of every child in every circumstances. So these are how they recommend the media handle these cases. And it says, in interviewing and reporting on children, pay special attention to each child's right to privacy and confidentiality, to have their opinions heard, to participate in decisions affecting them, and to be protected from harm and retribution. Protect the best interests of each child over any other consideration, including advocacy for the children's issues and promotions of the child's rights. Give due weight to the child's right to have their views taken into account in accordance with their age and maturity. Consult with those closest to the child's situation and best able to assess about the political, social, and cultural ramifications of reporting this, and do not publish a story or an image that might put the child, their siblings, or peers at risk, even when their identities are changed, obscured, or not used. This has been the one thing that's bothered me this entire time, is how putting out their kid those photos and tying this story to them puts them at risk. All right. So the channel that keeps reporting this stuff is in bed with Michael, and apparently Critical K claims that she's getting paid by Michael, although provided no proof. So I don't know about that, but she says that she's falsely reported a number of things. She's falsely reported that Kelly was arrested. She's falsely reported that this is a criminal case now. It's not, it's civil. She has falsely reported that she shared the amicus attorney video. She falsely reported that the little girl was gang RAPED'd. She has just done a lot of basic, like, Michael is feeding her stuff and she just puts it out as though it's fact without any verification or any sort of like fact checking. She just goes off whatever the dad says, and that's the word. And she was sponsored last night in her video that she posted on her channel by the same lawyer that offered to do free taxes for Michael from Frisco, Texas. So she is somehow financially benefiting from this. Now, I also was told that Michael paid that Channel 27 to be on there, and I was also told he paid the Daily Mail for that article. So he's using the money that he's receiving from this GoFundMe to pay people to further perpetuate his narrative, which is insane to me. Why are you paying Pete? Why are you paying Pete? No, so she doesn't think that it's a big deal that she's reporting false information. She's like, literally as the hearing was in progress, I believe it was a harmless mistake. No, because every time she says something, it gets people riled up. She told everyone Kelly was arrested. It created a mass confusion and hysteria online where everyone started reporting it. She's the one that puts out the amicus attorney stuff. She's the one that puts out the stuff about what happens in the alleged hotel. She's the one that puts out the journal stuff, all of which is likely fabricated. And she doesn't seem to care. And she said that she's still going to, it doesn't really matter to her as long as she, the bigger focus should be on, Sophie, the little girl. It seems silly that this even needs to be said since there's a larger focus, but I want to make sure that the facts are as accurate as possible. Girl, come on. Okay, first off, let's go to another complaint from the group. So more people were reaching out, and this one says, this is all pretty damaging for the woman. You've not addressed any of the allegations that have been made against you and the little girl. I don't want to use her name simply because that. So anything that has been said, is it true? That is the 8th person that you have accused. This is the 8th person he's accused by the father. Were there even $30,000 in legal fees that you've paid? Because people started looking through the court fees and he has not paid any court fees. He says before the COVID, the father only had seen the kids once a month, and that he had taken her to 7 hospitals and urgent cares in 2 months because he was allegedly doctor shopping to get one of them to co-sign on what he wanted them to say. He's told people that it was a lab drug test, but it wasn't actually a lab drug test. They mailed it in, and then CPS took the test again, and the little boy came out negative. He pulled the same stunt on Kelly in 2016, and that was proven to be false. And he actually lost part of his custody because of it. And they said the reason the mom and the CPS worker and the police are not buying any of this is because he's done this so much. He's got GoFundMe, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, and an Amazon wish list that included makeup for Courtney and 10 $100 Starbucks gift cards and a bunch of scrapbook tape. Like, what? So they also point out that they were basically homeless. He hasn't had a job in 5 years. And interestingly, he declared bankruptcy in 2011 and had $475,000 worth of debt and an alleged loan from his ex-wife's family of $71,000. I was like utterly shocked when I saw all of this. And now, interestingly, in order for you to get a discharge from bankruptcy, you have to go 7 years. So that would have put him from 2011 plus 7 would be 2018. So you can only file Chapter 7, I think, every 8 years. Basically, he's at that cutoff point where he could file again if he needs to, and he's in a money crunch, and now here he's again, begging for cash. They say that, they believe that people are starting to estimate that he's made over $500,000 through this. And at no time, he says, you have every reason to benefit from the selfless acts of kindness that has been taken advantage of by you and the father, and you'll hit bottom by the end of the next week due to the multiple agencies involved in determining what charges will be made against you. So now there's discussion that there might be investigations going in here. Now, interestingly, Lacey Lakeview police officer, or a law firm out of the same area as the Lacey Lakeview near Waco, Texas, requested court records related to this case earlier, I think yesterday or today. And you have this doxing issue. So earlier today, that was reported to Frisco police. And because my information is on there, along with my parents and their phone numbers, we will be contacting authorities as well, because it's ludicrous to me that you report a story and people just put all of your information out there. I mean, my address, my mom and dad's phone number. Now, this was from his discharge. This is from his documents from his Chapter 7 bankruptcy. So you can actually see how much debt he had in 2011, $475,000. And a lot of people will say, well, why is that relevant? Some people just fall on hard times. Other people just have a pattern of not being good with money and doing anything to grift to find a way to make money. He has not held a position formally for 5 years. He lives with his parents now, and he holds no steady employment. He and his wife have changed dramatically, and now there is someone actually posted this photo of them when they first met versus what they are at today. They both have lost a considerable amount of weight and don't look as healthy as they once did. So there was also a request in court for drug testing. Now, I don't know who made that request, whether it was the mom or the dad, but I'm guessing, given what's been happening here, mom might be asking the court for mandatory drug tests of dad. And he has had a couple inconclusive tests, which in the court is actually considered a false negative. Okay. Then here is the working as she has a Explore Talent profile where she has a modeling and acting portfolio. And then this is another interesting thing, is that he was posting snippets of the restraining order that the mother posted, that the mother filed against him. And this does not look good for him at all. It says, they have multiple videos and pictures of the children have been posted on various social media platforms and pages. The hashtag Stand With Sophie has 15.1 million views on TikTok on August 31st. And please see the attached Exhibit C. Kelly Long requests that the court order all funds raised through this page, Stand With Sophie, be placed into the court registry to pay for fees for the amicus attorney, the children's therapy and counseling costs, and the costs of psychological evaluations for the children and the parents, respondents' hotel costs, and any and other fees related to the children's experts appointed to this case. She prays that the court will all funds raised from the GoFundMe Stand With Sophie be placed into a court registry while this case is pending, and all the relief that the court deems just and equitable, and that she prays the court grants this motion for further temporary orders. So they will have a hearing on these TROs coming up in October, where they're going to present all of their evidence. There were 2 hearings added on October 27th and 28th. So if the mom is so evil, why does she care about getting her child therapy? You know, like, this to me seems like a mom that wants the best for her kids here. I mean, again, I'm not picking sides. I just think, like, sometimes he posts things and he doesn't realize that it doesn't look favorable to him. So overall, I'm just getting this increased sense that this is going to end up with something for fraud. And I don't know if GoFundMe will eventually take down this. I don't know if they will not have access to it. I don't really know. He claims to have hired 7 attorneys. He only has 1 listed on the court dockets. And at this point, he has enough money. He shouldn't really be asking for more. And there's so many people that are broke right now that I think that this is where people are at. Like, they feel like he has exploited a very hostile time in America because of the pandemic and how down people are feeling, and took that and moved forward. Now, I think it's interesting that he began working with people that were part of QAnon almost immediately, because he knew that if he did this hashtag Save the Children, he could get the most traction out of this. And I also think it's interesting that he's paying for outlets to promote his GoFundMe. Why? If you have the money you need, what's the need here? Why are you continuing to push the story out? Why are you continuing to release more information? What benefit does this do for your kids at all? It doesn't. It does nothing. I feel like he and his ex-wife, or his current wife or girlfriend, maybe are in a financial pickle, found this way to get out of it, and want to be famous because they both have backgrounds in blogging and he thinks he's a country singer or something. I don't know. Yeah, there appears to be some issues with the live feed. If people wanted to donate, sure. The problem here is that the donations were done under a false pretense of this was what happened, and it's becoming more and more evident that this is not what happened, because there is no investigation at all in Frisco. So there's been multiple calls to the Frisco Police Department who have stated there was no investigation and there was no charges that were going to be brought against anyone because this was unfounded. So if he continually brings unfounded things against his ex-wife and nobody's being arrested, you have to start. It's been 2 weeks, you guys. Nobody's going to be arrested. The mom's not going to get arrested. Mr. Jake is not going to get arrested because he probably didn't do anything. And sadly, anyone now that dares to speak out against him, including myself, is now being labeled a child predator, which is not okay. So you guys who want to stay in his little, if all the frumpies that want to stay in his cult and like goober over his hair and how handsome he is and get snowed and get scammed, you can stay there and do that. But I again will encourage that 10 to life. If you want to have a career on YouTube, you really should cut your losses, because this is going to not end well for you if you continue to stay on this trajectory. I really say that just from a place of like concern, because you are dealing with what I believe to be a dangerous narcissist who really could care less about you and will dispose of you once he's done. There has already been dozens of people that he has had help him that have all come out and said that he is doing shady things, and he is directing things, and he is, telling people to bring, a brigade, or, and there's evidence of moderators telling people to send the troops, or, get people to come. And there's all of this stuff is out on Instagram. I'm floored. Or there's a couple groups on Facebook where you can see a ton of stuff. There is the Long Hoax, which is hosted by Critical K, and there is the Stand With the Girl's Name Unbiased, which allows people to actually discuss the evidence. And through these discussions, so much has been determined about how much of a fraud this is. And I really hope that for all of the people whose lives have been put into jeopardy, specifically the judges and the children and the mom and the boyfriend and the attorneys and the CPS workers and anybody who dared to go out against him, like normal people who are just raising money for their kid that feel like they're not getting justice, don't take these sorts of links. It's just, it's reckless, it's dangerous, and it's serious. The federal, there could be federal charges for the stuff that's been happening to the judges because he's doing nothing to stop it. It's scary. I don't have any opinion about the mother, yay or nay. Like, I really feel like people say like, oh, you're on the team mom. And I'm like, no, I'm on team kids not getting exploited anymore. And if dad is doing criminal acts and defrauding people and using his daughter in order to do that, we should be certainly calling them out, especially if they're using the communities on YouTube, Instagram, and creators to do that. I think if creators are being used as a vehicle to put out propaganda, you need to have a counterbalance of other creators that are willing to push up against that and say, this isn't right, you shouldn't be doing this, stop taking advantage of people that just have good hearts. Because I don't believe that 99% of the people that are involved in this are bad people. I think they are just being manipulated. All right, so again, these are all of my opinions. And, well, I'm not beautiful tragedy. I'm not actually discrediting her because I'm not discrediting Sophie. I'm discrediting the father. And there's a difference. And he has also posted this ridiculous propaganda into people that if you don't believe him, you don't believe Sophie. And that's not true. Because Sophie is a victim of abuse. 1,000%. Because what he's doing is horrific. And she will have lasting damage from this. And she probably believes this because he has been telling her this and beating this into her brain for years. I mean, she probably is scared because he tells her really bad things. All right. Yeah, nobody's discrediting the child. We're saying that she's likely being manipulated by the father. All right. And nobody's against the child. Everyone wants justice for the child. And sometimes justice for a child means that you don't go with what's the easiest thing to believe without any evidence. There's never any evidence. And that's how you guys know it's a scam. You have to ask for evidence. You always need to ask for evidence. You always need to ask for evidence in situations like this. And he can't ever provide anything that can't be discredited. So that's the problem. All right, so you can tell me what your thoughts are. Do you really think her screaming was not real, though? I don't know. The problem is that they said in the court that the CPS people, along with the attorneys, or the mom's attorney, said that video that he posted is really edited down and it's not how everything went out. And they said if you would have seen the full video, you would have known that there was nothing happening. And they say that because he took these parts and sort of pasted them together, it created the appearance of something that didn't happen. And editing can do some wild things. So do I believe that she thinks this? 100%. That's why she's a victim. And she very well might need different help. No matter what, she needs help, you guys. No matter what, she needs help. Period. I think everyone can agree with that. And I think it's really disingenuous to say that you don't care about the child because you don't believe the dad. No, I'm saying dad has a history of doing this to everyone. And when people like me point out what he's doing, he accuses me of being one. It's a pattern. And then he's okay with doxing. That's not okay. All right, you guys. So tell me what your thoughts are. Bye.